This module provides an overview of additional transparency initiative elements of disclosure beyond those that should be made available at the time a report is publicly released. You can find these items listed in the second part of Section 3A of the APOR Code of Professional Ethics and Practices, which was revised in May 2015. Certified organizations are expected to make available each of the elements described in this presentation within 30 days of any request for them. For surveys that are not publicly released, members are expected to be ready to report these elements if requested by the survey's sponsor. The following slides briefly discuss each element that should be available for disclosure whenever requested. If a pool, panel, or access panel was used, the procedures for managing membership, participation, and attrition of the panel should be made available upon request. If interviewers were used, the methods of training, supervision, and monitoring of interviewers should be made available to an interested party upon request. Details about any screening procedures used, including any screening for other surveys that would have made sample members ineligible for the current survey, should be disclosed. For example, the use of routers in online surveys. In addition, any relevant stimuli, such as visual or sensory exhibits or show cards provided to respondents, should also be made available if requested. In the case of surveys conducted via self-administered computer-assisted interviewing, providing the relevant screenshot or screenshots would be considered optimal, although not required. If requested, the details of any strategies used to help gain cooperation, such as advance contact, compensation of payment of incentives, or refusal conversion contacts, should be reported, whether for participation in a group, panel, access panel, or for participation in a particular research project. Any procedures undertaken to ensure data quality should also be made available if requested. Where applicable, this includes information about any recontacts to confirm that an interview occurred and/or to verify the respondent's identity, measures taken to prevent respondents from completing the same survey more than once, and any other quality control procedures such as logic checks and tests for speeding or patterning. If no such efforts were undertaken, this fact would also need to be disclosed. Summaries of the disposition of the study-specific sample records needed to calculate response rates for probability samples and participation rates for non-probability samples should also be provided. If response or cooperation rates are reported, they need to be computed using one of the APOR standard definitions formulas. If dispositions cannot be provided, the reason or reasons should be disclosed and acknowledged as a limitation of the study. The unweighted sample size on which any reported subgroup estimates are based should also be reported. The specifications necessary for replication of any indices or statistical modeling that are included in research reports should also be made available if requested. Any procedures undertaken to verify data should also be disclosed. In addition, methods of interviewer training, supervision, and monitoring should be disclosed. As is the case with those disclosure elements that need to be made available at the time a survey is publicly reported, if the results reported are based on multiple samples or multiple modes of data collection, all of the items discussed in this module need to be disclosed for each. Finally, reflecting the fundamental goals of transparency and replicability, we share the expectation that access to data sets and related documentation will be provided to allow for independent review and verification of research claims upon request. Data sets may be held without release for a period of up to 1 year after findings are publicly released to allow full opportunity for primary analysis. In order to protect the privacy of individual respondents, such data sets must be de-identified to remove variables that can reasonably be expected to identify a respondent. Those who commission publicly disseminated research have an obligation to disclose the rationale for why eventual public release or access to the datasets is not possible if that is the case. Thanks for your interest in the Transparency Initiative. If you would like to have your organization apply for membership, please visit our website listed here. And if you have any questions regarding any of the material covered in this module or need additional information, please email us at transparency@apor.org.